think we need to stop pointing fingers and head to places in the world where we can give our contribution, spend a little time relaxing, balance the nerves, and kind of chill out. So I was thinking, after interviewing Iceland, I didn't
Mhm.
realize how green they are. I mean, they've been green for decades. Well, we find it sexy to be green. They just, wow, they live it. They live it big time. And Iceland is one. I want to go swimming in blue lagoons and things like that. Those real remote places that
Mhm.
look like the Bay Area, because we do live in the most, I would say, second to Ireland. I mean, or maybe first. We're in the most beautiful place in the world. We're in the Paris of the West.
I agree. I grew up in New York, and I couldn't wait to move out here. And then when I did, it was like I'm never leaving. This and Hawaii, I think, are my two favorite
Hmm.
places to just to be and
Hmm.
feel connected to the earth. Now let's continue your journey from being the brother of the famous Grateful Dead drummer Mickey Hart to your colon cancer scare to radio and beyond. You have a fabulous radio voice, and
Wow, my, oh my. Okay. So I'm so full of myself. I can't stand it. Jeez. It's so good to be here with me. It really is. God, Beth, you
so
are.
no, really. So how did you get into radio? What was the thing that sparked it for you?
Well, I think I was born with a microphone in my mouth. And and this is what's so beautiful about the last, couple of years after almost escaping colon cancer, is that I really discovered that my gift is to present. And then because of all these historical, life-changing events, from being born into a famous family to running to find happiness in radio. I'll get there when I get to this place, when I've got the national show and, millions of listeners. I'll be happy when I get there. What a crock. That is a crock.
That's right. We have to be happy within ourselves first. You're listening to Your Supernatural Life here on Green 960.
So after going through all these life experiences, escaping colon cancer, 20 years of being on the radio, and really dying to myself, dying to self, getting over myself, not getting full of myself, and just remembering or understanding that I'm here to tell a story. And that's really all we have is, what's your story? And how can you give back through your story, through your experience, through your being humble, through your value system? How can you give back? We hear that, and again, that's tossed around like apples. I mean, but it's time to be authentic about it. So geez, this is a very interesting interview because it's unlike probably any other I've done, Beth.
Because you're so revealing of your personal life. Is that what you're?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
I think I'm just, instead of, saying, mentioning timelines, I did that, I did this, I'm saying there was a whole bunch of stuff that happened here. And no matter what happened back there, we all have our stuff. We all have our baggage. Many times we project on others. Sometimes we feel like a victim. Sometimes our addict takes over.
Hmm.
Sometimes our ego trips us. But at the end of the day, that's really where we want to be, is remember that your mind is not your friend, and it's your center, that heart, your soul, that's always wanting to kind of guide you. And if we can quiet down enough during the day, I don't think we'll be as out of sorts and just fragmented and unhappy and feel this really horrible feeling in our belly, like everything's out of control. And again, that's what Smart Green Travel is all about. Because what good is it to advise you on an attraction or a green destination that's organic, holistic, and following the principles of being green? What good is any of that if you, on your journey there with your family, are feeling just negative and frustrated and irritated, and kind of just, you don't have the energy and you're exhausted on your trip? That's really value based. That's getting to our values. So I appreciate you asking me the question: is it because of all the personal stuff you're talking about, Jerry? Is that why you feel this is different? Well, yeah.
Hmm.
This is an evolution in progress right now, and I hope that all of us together, the listeners of your show and my program on the Green Morning, um, really, really, I guess, just respect and honor that we're about honoring you. Because if we show up fake and we show up inauthentic, we're really that's not very sacred.
I'm speaking with Jerry Hart, host of Smart Green Travel, heard right after my show here on Green 960. You know, I promised my listeners that you're going to share some tips, and I want to
Sure.
kind of veer it back because I know that you're saying if you go on a trip, you know, and you're irritated or angry or unconscious, you know, it's not great. But going on a trip that's green in nature can help actually restore our well-being, our you know our inner life. You know, being out in nature, for example, going to some great places. So maybe you can share some ideas for our listeners on things that they can do, because a lot of people who haven't listened to your show maybe don't even know what green travel means.
That's gonna, yeah. How would you stereotype it, Beth? I mean, how do you, when you hear just travel in general, green travel, you probably what consider it reusing your towels at the hotel,
Well,
that kind of thing.
I look for more than that. I mean, I look for hotels that have a certain consciousness, you know, who use, let's say, detergents that don't have harsh chemicals in them. And there are some great hotels out there
Yeah.
that do that. I look for places like eco lodges, or you know, if you're traveling abroad, to go to an eco resort where there is wildlife and animals and people who can show you the culture, you know, aside from the landscape, but just the indigenous people of the area, and learn from them, learn about their customs.
You said it. You
Yeah.
really said it. I mean, you said so much about, you know, when you're out and about around the world, you can assess a green property, a green attraction, a green hotel, a green vendor, not just if they're, you know, certified, because there are different certifications that you can get to be labeled green by national authorities. The so-called U.S. Green Building Council is handing out, you know, LEED certifications for green attractions and properties or hotels that are really being authentic, that are not just luxury green hotels, but that they provide you with all kinds of amenities that you know are backed by that green rooted, authentic label green. The food is locally sourced. I mean, that's one of the first things you can do is instead of looking for LED lighting, you know, find out if the hotels are using locally sourced foods from the local growers.
And even better, yeah, local would be fantastic, and organic, you know, or non-processed foods, which is so important.
Yeah, organic bath products, as you said.
Yeah.
Are they completely non-smoking on the entire property? I mean,
Uh-huh.
these are ways to find out if there's a mixed message and where you want to place your green dollars, because if we don't, you know, direct our green money into the companies that are not begging us but persuading us to demand. And they're stepping up. They're saying, "Wait, we're doing it. We're being green. So bring your supply, and we'll continue to support the demand." And that's pretty straightforward, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Hey, and you know, we just have a minute or so left. So I know that you have some suggestions. You know, Memorial Day weekend's coming up. Do you have some tips on for like a free, fun, green staycation weekend for those of people who can't afford to travel?
Yeah. I really think Union Square and Fort Mason are probably the most exciting right now. Obviously, but that's because of the International Arts Festival. And there's a magic bus that leaves from Union Square every 90 minutes out of Union Square. It's a bus that's been retrofit to look just like the 60s with video screens, and they all dress like hippies. These dancers and artists, there's artists coming from all over the world, and this magic bus is just one little piece of bringing back San Francisco in the 60s, the age of Aquarius, a 90-minute tour of San Francisco, interactive experience. Plus, Fort Mason is where dancers are sharing a social message. How do we talk about social societal issues through dance? And it's very inexpensive to go down to Fort Mason and enjoy that the entire weekend, so close to the bridge. And Union Square has music and festivities all weekend. And then, of course, the Ferry Building Marketplace, right, where the farmers market is going to be bigger than any day of the year, all 3 days, just jammed with fun down at the Ferry Building.
Well, that's fantastic. I love the Ferry Building. They have the best vendors there.
Yes, and again, that International Arts Festival is pretty special. With what we don't know is how much sacrifice all these artists and dancers have made to come out of their countries into America that makes it very difficult to get into, including the Syrians. If you do one thing, go up to the Syrian dancers and give them a hug and say thank you for the effort you made to get in here to bring your message from your country into ours, so that we can learn a perspective that we might not otherwise know about you.